Hi, it's Miss Leone here. We're here with Art Club, and I have somebody to introduce you to. So, can you briefly introduce yourself and what you teach?
Yes, my name is Miss Rivera. I'm the AP art teacher here as well as the advanced art teacher here, where students in my class experiment with different materials, drawing, painting, and a lot of conceptual artwork.
Cool. What inspired you to become an art teacher?
So, funny question. In high school, I did not want to become an art teacher. I really loved art ever since I was really little. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but then when I graduated high school, I came back the day after graduation and I helped my high school art teacher with putting away artworks for the whole year. And then she invited me to work with her as an intern for a 4-week summer art program called SAI, Summer Art Institute. And it was a really great experience, like working with middle school art students, drawing, painting, and then at the end we did like a whole big art show with their artworks. And then in college I knew that that was my calling. So for me, I took a lot of art classes, drawing, painting, a lot of art history to learn all of that. And then I also took a lot of art education classes. So those classes are meant to teach you how to become an art teacher. Planning out projects, lesson planning, curriculum planning. I also did a lot of student teaching, so going to different schools, middle school, and also here in high school, being able to work with the teacher to plan out different projects, help out students, and then I also took 2 different exams.
Okay. So, for students considering art in college, what should they look for in a program? And are there scholarships or opportunities that they should know about?
So classes is really important to see what kind of vibe you want to go for. Do you want to do drawing, painting, illustration, graphic design, photography, animation? Money is also a really big factor. If you feel like you really want to go to school that has a lot of resources, you can. Looking for a lot of different scholarships, opportunities for you to get money to help you pay for school and classes is important. The faculty is also important as well, knowing if the professors that you have, the teachers there, are working in their field as graphic designers, as artists within the art world. Business is important. And then also the facilities as well. See what the quality is like when you visit the school, visit the campus, if they have really great art studios, dark rooms, places for you to create art.
Okay. And how does salary typically grow for art teachers as they gain more experience or education?
So art teachers typically start now at around 60 to 65K, but the more education you pursue, the more years in being an art teacher you have, the higher your salary grows. You can also have a lot of different opportunities to go into different kinds of fields within art education, like being an art teacher, art administrator, facilitator, or a teacher leader, in which you grow and help other art teachers throughout the city or your borough, help them become better teachers.
Okay. And what skills do students learn in art class that can help them in future careers, even outside the art field?
So that's a really great question. A lot of creativity goes into the arts, but you can also find that a lot of that is represented within fields of marketing, tech, engineering, business. There's a lot of creative problem solving that comes within art that you can apply into a lot of different fields. Empathy is a really big one. Collaboration, learning how to work with other people in different work environments is also really important.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then finally, what advice would you give to a student who wants to pursue a career in the arts?
So building your skills, building your experience is really important. It's not just about your portfolio, the artwork that you show. It's also about socializing, communicating with other people, being able to put yourself out there so that way people know more about who you are as an individual. Definitely dive into like the business, the art world of it. See if painting is what you want to do, animation, marketing. See what kind of different branches suit your styles, your needs, what you may want to pursue later on. Because definitely the more experience you have, doing internships, volunteer opportunities in school, the more you're gonna have a better idea later on after college of what your field is for you.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all this with the kids. And appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Anytime.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen of Millennium Art Academy Theater, welcome to another Inside the Actors Studio with the lovely and my true amazing friend, Danielle Harris.
Hi, guys.
Round of applause, everyone.
Thank you guys.
So I want you to know that Danielle probably had about 3 hours of sleep last night because last night was her world premiere of her film Last Chance Motel, which she wrote, directed, and starred in. And I was there, and I'm going to tell you, what a wild ride. Amazing. I had so much fun, Danielle.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you as your friend, and it was just amazing.
Thank
so
you.
congratulations.
Appreciate that.
And I was so happy to be able to share that
Yeah,
and be
me
there
too.
that night. So amazing. And these are my
Yes.
school kids
Yay.
that I wanted to introduce you to, and I want to thank you for being here
Yeah,
because it's so
absolutely.
special for them.
For sure.
And I want to ask you a few questions.
Okay,
and
got
then I'm
it.
going to open it up, and our Natalia is going to be walking around and doing the Q&A for us. But first, I want to ask you, since we're in
Yes.
front of a bunch of teenagers
Yes.
who may want to one day walk in your shoes and
Yes.
work in the field that you work in, tell us about your experience from when you first started all the way
Sure.
till now, and
Sure.
and maybe some pitfalls and some successes. and-
Sure. Who here wants to be an actor in front of the camera? Cool. Who wants to be behind the camera? Oh, not that. Okay, a couple. Okay, you could do both. Kind of now is kind of the time to be able to do both. I wouldn't recommend doing it at the same time, like I did. That was me directing and starring in something is a little bit complicated because you have to sort of be two different people. But I think if you have the right amount of preparation time in your team, I was reading something the other day that was saying like everybody that makes a movie on set is an artist, from the grips to the lighting to the sound to every single wardrobe, every part of it. So I started when I was 7. I did commercials and print stuff, and I was always older but really tiny, so I looked younger. So I could play younger roles, and I was older, so they could work me longer, and I behaved, I guess, a little bit better. And I started actually in New York and did commercials and print and got an agent, and then I auditioned. I did One Life to Live, which was a soap opera back in the day. I don't know if your moms ever watched that stuff. My mom still watches that stuff. That's also really good to sort of, it's different now. Even then it was hard, like all that dialogue you have to learn every day and how much they shoot in a short period of time. And then I did audition for a movie called Halloween 4. Anyone see any of the old Halloween movies? Okay, so I was Jamie Lloyd in the Halloween movies, the little girl in the clown costume that stabs her mom at the very end, and Michael Myers' niece, and then I become possessed, and I come back in Halloween 5 and have visions. And then I didn't do horror movies for many, many years. I did, I did a Roseanne, the TV show, for a season. I did a movie called Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
One of my favorites.
I played Christina Applegate's sister, the tomboy with the big bow in my hair. I did a movie called Wish Upon a Star that was on Disney, where I switched bodies with Katherine Heigl's sister. I've done cartoon voice work stuff. My God, what else? I sound like I'm bragging too much about myself.
No, this is important.
And I moved to LA when I was 13, and that's what we did. That's what New Yorkers did back then in order to pursue what was called pilot season, when we only had 5 networks, and they used to make a bunch of TV shows for fun to see if something stuck, and then they would become TV shows. They would call them pilots back then, kind of to see if we would get a good audience and all that. And then I grew up in LA through my teen years and did that whole young Hollywood, trying to stay out of trouble and survive the transition from kid actor to adult actor, which not a lot of us are able to do well. And thank goodness I had good friends and family and crew and directors and producers that kind of kept me straight and narrow along my journey, which was also really important. A lot of weird things can happen when you're a kid in the business in an adult adult setting. So it's good to have a good group around you. And then I'm still working and directing and acting and, you know, being a mom and all of that stuff that goes into what we do as women and men nowadays.
So, they're going to be asking you, I'm sure, a lot of questions that they would want to know. So I'm going to throw you some other crazy ones.
And just so you know, I never did theater because I've always been afraid to speak in front of people. Unless it's like at a horror convention or somewhere where I'm super confident and feel like I know what I'm talking about. So I always get a little, like even now, a little dry mouth, you know, so I never actually did. I did one play, a black box theater play, just to see if I could do it because I was so scared. I'm always afraid to not remember my lines, as you know. So it's always like, I always have this, actually, last night I was telling my husband as an actor, I have this recurring nightmare that I'm on set and I either don't have the right script, can't find my script, don't know my lines, or I'm looking at my pages and I can't read my lines. So I had one literally last night, same thing, where I was back on Roseanne. I was like trying to find my script and I had the wrong one. Everybody was waiting for me. So
has that ever happened where you?
No.
Okay.
No,
So
never. No, it's just like I'm always worried about showing up and not being able to do what I need to do.
But
And
I think that speaks to how professional you are and how prepared you are.
Well, it's important, you know, to show up and do it. And I grew up in the time of film where we would do rehearsals and we would only have like, you know, it was very expensive to film stuff, and film was expensive, so we couldn't mess up, and we couldn't have 100 takes, and they couldn't have digital cameras where you can just keep it rolling until someone gets it right. But back then you had to show up and be prepared and like do it, where now people are a little bit more lenient with that amount of time that you know we take to make movies, even though they're making movies in less time now.
Quite true. So I'm curious, after last night's experience, and now you're a director, and you've gone through that process, what do you think you brought with your actor's knowledge, having acted for so long, to directing?
So one of the things that I always say to directors is go to acting classes. You know, there's all these methods and techniques and all this stuff. I studied Meisner. I tried other different things as well, and Meisner sort of stuck for me. But I think every actor works a little bit differently, and you kind of have to know as a director what will work with that person. Like, I know certain actors that I could push to get to places that they won't normally feel comfortable enough to go. It's about creating a safe space. And then there's some actors that you just kind of want to leave alone and let them find their place, and with that freedom and that trust. I did a movies with Rob Zombie, if you guys are Rob Zombie fans, and I did the Rob Zombie Halloweens and his remake, and then the second one. And he's one of those directors that he just watches you. And actually, funny story, because I was 30 at the time, playing 17. And Rob would listen in his earphones when we were just like breaking to set up another shot. And he would listen to my girlfriends who were playing opposite me and I talk about girl stuff. And we'd come to set the next day and we'd get revisions of scenes that had very similar dialogue changes to the way we were talking. I was like, is he listening to our conversations? And I asked him, and he said, well, I'm just hearing what you girls are talking about because I'm writing stuff for you, but I don't know how 17-year-old girls talk. So I'd rather have it be authentic and, kind of implementing that. So I think as there are some actors that, I'm an actor that wants to cut all of my lines. So you have other actors that want the monologues. So usually it's kind of one or the other. And I think as a director, you kind of have to just let your actor find its way and not be afraid to, I don't know. As an actor, I love to be directed. I don't get directed as much, I think, on film as I used to. Maybe because there's a lack of time. I don't know. In theater, I did direct one play, really because I wanted to get in and really work with the actors on creating the character and the story and see how it could change night to night. Because, you always leave a scene going like, oh, I could have done that better, or I should have done that differently, or, at least I do, especially like auditions. You come out and you're like, God, if I would have just hit this the way it sounded in my head before I got out there. But there's something so great about why we do what we do, about, you have those organic moments where the emotion really comes, or you have a surprise when you're working opposite somebody, connecting, and you've got that relationship, and you're like, ooh, that felt really good and felt really real, and you kind of feel it deep down in your gut. And those are the highs that I think we do as creatives want to do and pursue this career, because it's difficult. It's difficult to make money in a creative, art environment, but it is not impossible if you just keep doing it.
And when you were growing up, did you have an actress or an actor who inspired you, who you wanted to be like?
I did. Well, Brooke Shields was one. Love Brooke Shields, right? God, there was so. I mean, Molly Ringwald. We were talking about her. I used to watch the show called The Honeymooners. You guys are too young to know that show, but I'm sure you remember The Honeymooners. So anything I really saw on TV, anyone that was sort of doing. I mean, I like scary movies too. Do you guys ever see Poltergeist? Okay, so like Carol Ann. I mean, anything that I saw, I think, growing up, and that Brooke Shields, that was kind of the thing too. Like, she did a lot of movies as a young kid, so it was kind of like watching how they were doing it and figuring out if I could do it like that.
Well, I think they've heard enough of my questions, and I'm sure they're dying to get on this. So I'm going to give this to Natalia. And Natalia, if you could, you can start if you'd like, or guys, questions are now yours. Please have at it, guys.
Okay, I'll start in the back, making my way over here.
Amazing. So make sure your mic is sort of close to you.
Yeah. Alright. Hi, my name's... Oh, is it working?
It is.
Oh, really? Okay, perfect. So, hi, my name's Star, and I wanted a question when it came to, like, acting. I'm a person who's usually, like, in the back doing set design. I'm actually doing a set design for a musical right now, and I'm curious. I wanted to get into acting. Like, what do you think is, like, good advice for, like, beginners?
Wow, it's changed so much since I started. I mean, back when I was auditioning in the day, there was like 6 girls I would compete against. It was like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt, like kind of the typical petite brunettes, basically, that would like be up for the same kind of roles. Where now there's a million different opportunities for you guys. I think creating your own content is really important. I think if you have an idea, get your creative friends together and figure out who does what well and make your own things happen. You have the weekends, you can get together and write stuff, and all you need is a phone. You can learn how to do everything now. I mean, back in the day, we used to have to like learn how to edit the real way, Yeah, exactly. So now I think YouTube's a great place to launch stuff and create your own things, and then find your style. I love art department stuff. Like for me, making movies, my favorite thing is doing posts. Like I love editing and I love sound design, which I never thought in a million years I would even care about sound design or score, because I don't know a ton about music. But I really got to see as a director in how much post makes a movie. You could make or break a movie. There's a lot of movies as an actor you do, and you're like, that's going to be so good, and then you see it and you're like, oh God, what? Yeah, that's right. And then what? Yeah, exactly. So I think just as an actress or any, you have to find make different things and try different jobs, wear different hats, because making movies nowadays, or making anything really, you're required to wear multiple hats. So it's good to kind of try different things and see what you like.
That's so good. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Star is a very creative set designer.
I love that.
Ever since the summer, she's been planning this show.
I love that.
Very dedicated. Very
good.
dedicated.
Yes, it's awesome.
Okay, hey.
Hi.
I'm Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
And my question is that what is like one role that like got so famous that it's like what people only like refer to you as when they see you on the street?
The girl from Halloween.
Okay, period.
The little girl from Halloween. No matter what. I didn't do horror movies for 20 years. My first 2 movies were Halloween 4 and 5. Then I went on to do a movie called The Last Boy Scout. I played Bruce Willis's daughter. I did a movie called Daylight, which was about the Holland Tunnel imploding with Sylvester Stallone. And I did a ton of TV stuff, and it doesn't matter what I have done in all of that time. It always goes back to the little girl from Halloween.
Do you know they shot Daylight a couple blocks from my house
Oh, they did?
Yep.
Oh my
Got a
God.
glimpse of Sylvester Stallone.
We were only here for like a week just to do
Yeah.
the exterior stuff. We shot the rest of that movie in Italy, actually. It's just crazy.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Josiah. My question is, if you had to look back on like most of the roles that you've played, is there one that like connected to you the most? Like,
You know, there's a couple. In Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I survived in the first one. So when I got to come back for the second one a year later, it was interesting for me and cool as an actor, and I got to really, so I'm 30 playing 17, right? Opposite a real 17-year-old. So I was feeling like I was acting. Like, how does it come across? Do I seem like I'm pretending to be something? So I was a little bit insecure about that movie. So when I got to come back for the second one, it was after trauma had happened, because I go through a pretty traumatic experience in the first Halloween with how Michael Myers gets me. So when I came back for the second one, I actually felt like that was more like me. So I was, you don't usually see people in movies that what the aftermath of something that happens, the same people, because we usually die, at least in horror movies anyway. So I think I super connected with, I got to feel like more present within myself doing that movie. I could just be me versus having to pretend. But I've always never been an actor that, I'm always sort of myself in those situations, like different versions of myself versus transforming into, I'm not Method at all. I can't transform into a different person. I don't really have that skill. I'm amazed by actors that can do that stuff. So I think that for sure. And then, I know Tony Todd's been here. I don't know if you guys have met Tony before, Candyman. But he and I did some movies called the Hatchet series. And that one was my first opportunity really to kind of come back as a lead in a movie since I was a little kid. So I think that also was like, yay, I get to bring a part of me into this, and let's just see what that looks like.
Great chat. Question.
Anybody else here?
Josiah, can you give us 30 seconds of your beautiful voice?
You got it, come on.
Have you seen Hamilton yet?
No, I have not.
No need to. You got this. Josiah, go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
okay. Theodosia writes me a letter every day, keeping her bed warm while her husband is away. He's on the British side in Georgia, trying to keep the colonies in line. Well, he can keep all of Georgia. Theodosia, she's mine. Love doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry and we break and we make our mistakes, and if there's a reason, I'm by your side, and so many have tried. I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it.
Yay! Good job.
Hi, I'm Lavender, and my question is, which movie made you scream the most?
Which movie, what?
Made you scream the most?
Oh, all of them. All of them.
Not mine.
No, not yours.
You caused a few.
I did. I scream in all the movies. It's the craziest thing. I guess that's how I started, and that's still how people see me, I have to go through some pretty crazy stuff. But it just comes up, So this movie that I just directed and was in, we were doing ADR, right? Do you guys know what ADR is? So after you do a movie, when the sound is not quite right, and if you're overlapping and stuff, and you wear your lavs and you've got a boom, but there's a lot of stuff going on. So a lot of times you have to go into a recording booth and you have to redo the line. And it's kind of an art because there's like 3 beeps and then you're watching yourself on screen and you have to do exactly what's coming out of your mouth. And for me, I like to just sort of be casual when I'm working, and sometimes I have to redo that stuff and I'm like, God, why couldn't I have just said it the way it was written? I had to do some weird thing and now I can't replicate the weird thing. But I have no idea where I was going with that question. Poof, right out of my brain.
Hi, I'm Samantha.
Hi, Samantha.
I met you before. Hello.
Yes.
But my question is, if you were to do any other genre besides horror, what would it be?
Oh gosh,
why?
I would love to do comedy.
That's
You know, I always say like, God, I would love these actors that do comedies, like they have it so good. I would love to take one of them and put them in a horror movie and see how hard it is to have to do that, you know, for weeks at a time and 10, 12 hours a day, that constant state of fight or flight, survival. You know, you guys only see it for a short period of time, but we're doing it for a month almost every day, having to show up in that can be pretty crazy on your body. So, but I am going to do a trilogy this summer that is in the horror genre, but it's more of a parody, Monty Python-y sort of fun, quirky, spoofy. I play a teacher.
Okay.
Yes, who's got a very dark past. Her name is Mrs. Barnes, and she's very loved in the school, and nobody believes that she could possibly have done what she did in her past, and she may have or may have not done what they're trying to get her busted for. So it's a very cool, fun, drives a little car, is like Miss Perfect, and you know, and again, I'm trying to kind of find like, do I create a character? How can I make her different than myself? So, great question.
Is this something you wrote, you produced?
No, it's something that came my way. They wanted me to direct it. I absolutely do not want to direct it because I want to be in it. I just want to focus on that. And I did a voiceover for a short film, and the writer producer said to me, I'm such a fan of yours, and are you ready for your third act? I'm ready to give you something that you haven't had in your career, and I think it's time, and it's this. And I read it and was like, oh my God, this is so fun to be able to have that like iconic character as an adult, because it's always, you know, as a kid you're like, oh, I'm always going to be the kid. So it's hopefully now I can do that, and everybody will sort of see that other side. But I need to be directed. I had a meeting with a director actually the other day, and I was like, please God, help me find this character. Direct me, let's work it, let's do, because there's no rehearsal. There's really no time. Like all that stuff is nowadays on film, you have to do that on your own. And then you just don't know. And other actors work differently, and you know, and I also, because I studied Meisner, I don't actually like to rehearse on set. I always like to shoot the rehearsal, like the organicness of like what's going to happen. Tony Todd, if you guys go watch Hatchet 2, there's this great scene between Tony and I where I come to the Reverend Zombie's voodoo shop, and I'm telling him I want to go back to the swamps and find who killed my brother and my dad. And Tony and I had known each other for many years but never done a scene with each other, and just organically we connected on such a crazy deep level while we were filming, that both he and I started crying while we were seeing our dialogue, and it was so natural. And those are the moments that you're like, you see the director behind the monitor and he's like, oh my God, like you didn't write it and didn't think it was going to look like that. But when you get people together that trust one another and you let yourself just be present in the moment, then all that wonderful stuff comes up, and that's the stuff that makes you stay in the business, because you're always looking for that thing, you know. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Felisa.
Hi.
My question is going based off what you were just talking about like moments that want to keep you in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other notable moments that make you like want to wake up and be like, I still want to do this?
It's yes, when I'm excited about something, you know, there are going to be times in your career where you just take jobs because you have bills to pay, you know, and I think the more actors there were and the more shows there were and the more I thought opportunities would arise, the harder it has been to get jobs, even for people that have been doing it for a million years. Also, the business has changed, and what producers are looking for are, you know, followers and TikTok and this and that, and the world's a little bit different. So this year was sort of just in personal life. I've thought about giving up multiple times. I got my first job selling. I was a beauty rep for a beauty distributing company, and I would go around to salons and sell Moroccan oil and keratin complex hair straightening and all shampoos and OPI nail polish, and would stack shelves at the same time that I had done Rob Zombie's Halloween. So I had the #1 movie out in the box office, and I was going in working in beauty supply stores, and they were like, I can't believe girl from Halloween is like teaching our keratin complex class. Like, this is really weird. And I was not a stylist, nor was I in it, but I was an actress, and I was like, I need a job. I need like a steady income because I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. So so there were definitely times of like, oh God, I was so happy for the first time to have stability in a job, because as actors, you don't know when you're, as soon as you start your first day on set, you're already like, oh my God, when's my next job going to come? And there's a lot of anxiety that comes with that. So there were many, moments that would humble me, as long as I just kept straight and, on the right path. But I think just getting up every morning and being like, okay, I still want to do this is something that you have to work on, at every single day. And with any job, right? I guess, you got to wake up and go like, oh, I don't want to go to school. Oh, I don't want to get dressed. It's cold. I just want to stay home. And then you get here and you're like, okay, I'm really glad I came to school today. Okay, I'm really glad I got up and I did that. It's hard to get out of bed. So I think I have moments when I'm like looking forward to things and know that I've been disappointed so much by things not happening or not going through, or losing jobs, or, you don't want to think about like, God, if I would have gotten that, what would my career have been like? They used to call it testing at network, right? So back in the day, I'll give you an example. You would go in, there would be like a studio full of people like this. You're going in for I don't know, NBC or CBS, Fox, one of those. And you come in and it's you and one other actor, two other actors for the same role, and it's like if you guys were all auditioning for the same thing, and before you even go in, you sign your contract, and you're going to be signed for 3 years to this TV show, and you're going to make this much money a week, and you're going to have stability and consistency, and it could make something, you could get to that next level, and you've worked so hard to get there, and what that fantasy looks like, in your head, and you're dreaming, you're daydreaming, right? And you get there, and you're like, all these girls have the same. They all have the same dream, and they're all hoping and praying. So an example would be, did you guys ever watch Party of Five? It was a TV show on Fox. Or The Craft was a big movie. So it was, do you know Neve Campbell from Scream? So it was between her and I for... You don't want to like so it was between her and I for a few different jobs. There was also a TV show called That 70s Show that was on for many years that I screen tested for, or I went to network for. So you're thinking, wow, if it would have been me and not Neve Campbell, or me and not Laura Prepon for That 70s Show, I wouldn't have, my career could have been completely different. And, here I am selling shampoo, trying to make a living, and I still have this movie, but I did it a year ago and I haven't gotten a job in between. And you're like, I don't know how to navigate this. So I think it's just, getting up every day and choosing to know that this business is really unpredictable, and you just don't know what's going to happen. And I always say, like, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan, because everything works out the way that it's supposed to. And we're really not in control of any of this, but you are in control of pushing yourself to in the direction of what you guys want, really want to do.
And this young lady, very talented, wrote and directed and starring her own show last year in this room.
Fantastic. How was that for you? Yeah, it's hard, right?
It was a nice 45-minute show that you wrote and directed.
Wow.
Down a lot,
okay.
But it was a big process. A lot of people in this room were actually in it, and they did a good job. This guy right behind me started it as the main character. Nice. It was fun. It was stressful, but
it's worth it, right? A lot of work. It's really in the pre-production of it. Like, if you make sure that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and like you because you're still stuff's going to come up, on the day where you're like, I can't. Like, example, my movie last night. It started and the sound was messed up. So I was sitting in a theater of 100 people, and it was so low you could barely hear it. And I thought, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it needs to speak. Well, my husband was like, what's happening? Do you need me to go say something? And he went and said to the guy, like, you've got to turn it up. And sure enough, like, clicked on, and but the opening kill you could barely hear. So like the movie starts and it's somber and quiet, and you're like, oh God, why did I know this was gonna happen? So you have to just kind of roll with it and be prepared to improvise. And sometimes the most awesome stuff comes out of happy accidents, you know. Good for you. That's hard. Do it again. You'll do it differently next time. And then you'll learn something that you won't do again the next time.
So hi, I'm Issa, and I was wondering, if you didn't get into acting, what job would have you done? Like, what other career would have you?
I wanted to go to college to be a psychologist. I think that is really similar with acting or interior design, which I also love to do, which is I think why I like putting movies together. So I get the art department stuff because it really is. I love what it visually looks like, which I think is why I like directing too. Because you get to kind of be the boss of all the visual creatives. But I wanted to be a therapist, and I think it's really about understanding people and other people's lives and getting their trust and humanity, and knowing everybody's story, and everybody's got a different story to tell. And I'm really interested in the real life stuff, which is why I didn't like living in Los Angeles so much, and actors are complicated because there's a lot of fake and weird, and I am a New Yorker, so I always prefer to come back here and be real. But I think it's a similar kind of thing, being a therapist as it is to being an actress. And I still think about going to school, like what would I do if I wasn't going to be an actor? Could I go back to school now? I don't know. I didn't go to college. I was working, and I wanted to go to college really badly, more for the experience, I think, because being a kid actor, I didn't have the typical childhood. So I was doing college stuff when I was probably too young to be doing college stuff. And then I wanted to go be normal for a little bit and just have this. And I didn't really get to, I was working through high school. So I was going to a private school and then was having teachers on set. So we would do 3 hours a day of school on set. So I was learning Shakespeare with a teacher and learning, trigonometry and learning, like doing all this stuff in a room with someone. And I didn't have and all my friends were just actors. So I think wanting to go to college and be around regular people and study something, I wish that I had that education. My sons are 7 and 8. Yes. And it's pretty cool for me. I was telling your principal, it's pretty cool because I'm getting to go back and learn stuff that I didn't get a chance to learn in school that I think is super important. So, but even standing up here, I thought, God, this would be so cool if I could be a teacher. That would be so awesome. I would love to get in and work with you guys on pushing you to access that stuff that you may be afraid to get to. It's a really cool thing to be able to help someone bring out their authentic stuff that's built up that you can, use in acting. Sometimes it's hard for me, be emotional. When you're a kid actor, you're like, oh, I have to be good, I have to be on, I can't be sick, I can't be cranky, I have to just be this certain way to get this job, and you can't be anything other than that. So then you get the job and you're like, wow, now I can play this character where I can get to do all that stuff. And it was much easier for me to cry and scream and, do all these things that in real life I sort of was holding on to, and I would get in front of the camera and it was like, it would just come out. So it's really cool to be able to have that outlet. Anything in the arts, I think, whether you're singing or you're painting or you're directing or writing or any of that stuff, I think helps you, get what's inside out on the paper.
Hello, my name's Tika.
Hi, Tika.
And the one question I have for you, as you've said before, being a child star and then transforming into who you are now, what do you think was your biggest challenge and how did you overcome it?
I think for me, I always thought my biggest challenge was how short I was. I auditioned for a lot of characters, that were lawyers, doctors. I auditioned for stuff where I had to ride a motorcycle, and I was like, I can't. I'm too short. I'm 5 feet. I don't know. And it was almost like I was so insecure about it that I would have to convince them that even though I look this way,
Isn't it cool? Like, I could be those things. So I actually auditioned for a voiceover this morning
for a lawyer for an Adult Swim show. A Karen, which was great, but it's animated, So I think I would. It was hard for me to audition when we used to go in person. Now they don't do that much anymore. I would wear like long pants and wear super platform high shoes to try to fool them. To not, and then it's like, I would lie. Oh, I'm 5'3" or whatever, and I was like, how do you know how tall I am if you don't know how tall my shoes are? But I think that was a real obstacle for me of me being comfortable going into the room and feeling like I could do this regardless of what I look like. I know that I can do this role. So I think it was, I probably was up against myself a lot in confidence. And I would walk into the room and see all these other girls that looked better for the part than me. Or, I wasn't, back in the day, all the girls were like 80 pounds, and that was like, and the Nicole Richie, like that, it was a very different time, and all these girls that were on TV were like, really pretty blondes and looked a certain way, and I just wasn't. I was from New York. I was a tiny brunette, and I had a little bit more of an edge. And I would when I would get an audition for the tough girl or the tattoo girl or the bad girl, and if you guys have watched my movies, I've always sort of played that, even though I play a therapist.
That's right.
In his movie.
That's what you wanted to
Yes, exactly. So I think I wish I would have had more confidence going in, because I think I remember somebody saying they want you to get the job. You have to remember, like, you go into the room to audition and they want you to be the person. They don't want to keep casting. They don't want to keep looking for people. So you have to know that they're on your side, but it doesn't feel that way when you're looking around at all the competition and you're sizing up everybody else. We're all insecure.
That's such an amazing point, right? Like, you're there because we want
Yeah.
you. We're cheering for you.
For
and this is
sure.
what we want. So
They're not against you.
They're for you to take.
They're for you, even though it doesn't feel like it. And some of them can be a little, not as warm going into the room. But when you go in and like people are friendly and they're open and they're comfortable, it's like. And some people are really good auditioners, and some people are not good auditioners. So you never. And then you're given like 3 minutes to do a scene, and you're standing up. You're like, how am I going to pretend that I'm running from the monster and he's trying to kill me, and I'm just standing here? Like, how do you? You physically have to get yourself into it, and emotionally, and you're given like 3 seconds, and it's so that's why it's good that Mr. V's putting you on the spot for singing and all that, because sometimes you just gotta be ready to go. So I would have been kinder to myself and had a little bit more confidence. Mm-hmm.
And this is our final question.
Oh no!
Guess where Danielle is going today? Right after this.
Where? Your movie?
Waiting.
Where you went 3 weeks ago.
Waiting for Godot.
Yes. Yes. I can't wait. I'm dying to see Keanu Reeves. Actually, Alex Winters wrote and directed a documentary that I saw, I think, a year or two ago about growing up as a child in the industry, and it was so good. And I wrote him and just said, thank you for being a voice for us, for us actor kids that really didn't get to. That thank you for understanding and for putting it out there so nicely. And I also Instagrammed him, I'm coming to your show tonight, so hopefully I'll be waiting at the backstage. Maybe I'll get to meet Keanu.
Hello.
Does Monster Mania.
Oh, I know he does. I know.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Abril. This is gonna be either a goofy or a scary question depending on your answer.
Okay.
But I would like to know, what is your craziest fan experience?
There are some interesting folks that come to horror movie conventions. For sure, 98% are awesome, and then there's 2 that are a little concerning. Mostly everything has been pretty cool. There's been some inappropriate, So one of a lot of my friends growing up were actors, right? So, and there was something very different back in the day about movie stars versus people on TV. One of my best friends growing up was on a show called Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She played Ashley, right? So her name is Tatiana. So Tatiana and I would go around all the time. And then my other friend was on a show called Blossom. She played Six on Blossom. And then another friend of mine was on Saved by the Bell, the new class. So we'd all like go hang out together. And Tatiana got bothered more by people not understanding boundaries than I did. And we never understood really why that was. And we think because when you are on someone's television in their home every week, you think that they are part of your life. Where on film, you had to leave and go see them, so there was a separation. So I think that now that you can stream everything and we're kind of always with you guys, it can get a little bit, the line can be drawn sometimes with how much access we allow people in, yet you want to, because the more you know us, maybe the more you'll love us and support us. So we have the platform to do it. But I think it's just a kind of a tricky little thing with some people, kind of not knowing. Then there's others that are like, don't want to come up, and you wish they would.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, thank you all for being here, and Danielle.
Yes,
and
thank
David,
you guys. Keep it up.
I want to say something.
Hi, I'm Miss Van Jewel. I'm the dance teacher for Millennium Fusion, and I have
Sky Mercado.
Yes, I brought her here to interview her because she is in the dance theater industry. And I have a couple of questions for her. The first question is, what inspired you to begin your journey in dance or theater?
So I graduated from Millennium in 2019. In 2017 is when we had our first theater club.
Yes.
So thanks to Mr. V, I was inspired to join theater, and then from there I went to college.
Yes.
Went to Lehman College. I graduated with my BFA in Multimedia Performing Arts.
Yes.
So I did a lot of dance and theater. I did mostly theater in college, and then as soon as I graduated, I just jumped into the dance world by accident. So it was like that. But I have a lot of creative people around me in my circle, so they inspire me. So that's what
That's
keeps me going.
good. I love
Including
that.
you.
Oh, thanks. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, my second question is, what is the most challenging part of performing or choreographing?
Rehearsals. Rehearsals are the most challenging part because it gets tricky. It's also a lot of fun though, but it's difficult learning from different choreographers, different teaching styles, different dance styles, especially when you're not experienced in a particular style. So the shirt that I'm wearing is from the Herbert H. Lehman Dance Company.
Yes.
It's the company that I joined after I graduated. So it was my first time doing like contemporary musical theater style dance.
Yeah.
So it was tricky.
Yeah.
Like it was ballet and spins and turns and all these words that I was not familiar with. So I had to learn it along the way.
Yeah.
But so that was the challenge for me. But it was worth it.
Yes. You did really good.
Thank you.
Some videos.
Yes.
Yes. All right. How do you prepare mentally or physically before getting on stage?
Ooh, meditation.
Yes.
Meditation is
Love
so
a peaceful
underrated.
queen.
And yoga.
Yes.
So underrated. You gotta like get into your zone before you even step out of your house, before you even, connect with other people. You gotta get your energy right.
Yeah.
That's very big in the performing world because then you gotta get on stage and bring another energy.
Yeah.
It might not be the energy that you're resonating with that day, so you gotta like get into that zone.
Bring a different ego out.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, 2 more questions. So, can you share a performance or a project that was impactful to you or you remember, always remember?
Ooh, so I did a lot of spring dance concerts at Lehman. So I think the 2023 dance concert was my absolute favorite.
Yes.
I think we did like hip hop style. So yeah, that was my favorite one. That's my most memorable one. It's like near and dear to my heart.
I love that. Okay, last question. What advice do you have for young dancers who want to grow in technique, confidence, or creativity?
Try everything. Don't be afraid. Go to classes. Stand in the front in classes. Ask questions. Connect with people. And yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that is my interview with Sky. She's awesome. Yay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ms. Toribio. I am the teacher for the movie club here in Millennium. And today we have none other than Mr. Gregory Van Voorhis, who recently had a movie release. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So my feature film, The Pitchfork Retreat, had its debut, its premiere on Saturday, this past Saturday. We won Best Movie, which was really cool.
Wow,
And,
great. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Yes,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you. So I'm really excited about that. But, you know, that's my side passion. I love filmmaking.
That's great. So tell us, what first inspired you to pursue filmmaking and how did you get started?
So for me, I've always been a storyteller. When I was a kid, like 4th grade, I had to write a book report over the summer. And I was living with my grandmother that summer. I was staying with her. And every day, are you working on your book report? Are you working on your book report? And I kept saying, yeah, it's almost done. It's almost done. It was like the day before summer ended. And she goes, let me read your book report. I hadn't done anything. I didn't even know what the book was, didn't read the book. So I made up the story of the book based on what I thought it was because of the title. And I wrote this book report about this fake book I never read. And she's like, Gregory, get in here. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, what book did you read? And I can't remember what it was. And she's like, I read this book and it has nothing to do with what you wrote.
Uh-oh, got caught.
And I was like, oh my God. And yeah, from that day on, I knew I was a storyteller.
Oh, that's a great story.
Thanks.
So in filmmaking, what are the major job categories in the industry?
Sure. So, you know, there's all the behind the scenes, right? So you've got your makeup artists, you've got your visual effects, you've got your special effects, you've got your camera crew, you've got your lighting crew, you've got your sound crew, you've got all the electrics. So many roles that you can have on a film set that have nothing to do with acting. Then there are the directors, of course, assistant directors, so many production assistants. There are so many different jobs for any of you guys. So whenever you think of movies, of course, you think of like the star actors, right? But instead of that, think about all of the other things that you can do that you'd be introduced to. And I know all of my theater kids know this, right, guys? I know you know this. Yep. So my theater kids know this, but everybody else from all the other clubs that are here today, so many different roles, so many different jobs that you can pursue in film.
And what are the typical pay ranges for these entry-level positions?
Absolutely. So if you become part of a union, woo, pay goes up. And I know it takes time for you to get there, but if you're non-union, you know your day rate is somewhere in the mid-hundreds for the day. And if you're working on a film for say 30 days, that's 30 days times 500. So a project will get you something like 30 times.
No, sorry, I'm bad in math.
30 times 500, you're looking at $15,000 for a project, right? For a month. It's pretty good money, guys. However, if you're in the union, you take your 500, you multiply it by 3 or 4, right? So you're looking at having $1,500 to $2,000 a day times 30 days. That's good money. So yes, stars make money, but so too do the people who make the stars look good.
Okay. And do students need to go to school for filmmaking to enter? Or what are the different pathways?
Absolutely. Great question. Not everybody goes to film school, right?
Okay.
You can learn through family who've done it, or if you work really young on a set, if you start as a production assistant, you do not need a degree, right? So there are other pathways. Do I recommend, if you have the wherewithal, if you've got the money to be able to attend these schools, or if you get scholarships or grants, attend them for sure. But there is nothing like the hard knock school of life when you're working on a film set completely. Same as teaching, right? So teachers, you can learn teaching in a school, but in class, but it's never going to prepare you like it would being an actual teacher. Same thing with film sets, guys. So if you actually want to be a grip, if you want to be a cameraman, a director of photography, if you want to be a production assistant, any of these jobs, yes, schools will help, but nothing like getting the experience of being on set.
Okay. And what skills should high school students begin developing now in high school if they want to enter into the film industry?
So creativity is a must. You have to have a vision. You have to have the eye for what you want to do. You also just have to have the passion, because there are more tough days and tough nights than there are good ones. And a lot of people will quit, or a lot of people will get hardened and not enjoy it anymore. You have to have, and my theater kids know this, right, guys? You have to have that drive and that persistence to be able to push through those days. And I think that that's very much the case when it comes to working in film.
Okay. What financial challenges should newcomers be prepared for in this industry?
Sure. So again, you're not going to start immediately in the union. So you're going to be looking for day rates. And you might have an amazing job now and not work again for the rest of the year, right? So you might book an amazing gig, the Pitchfork Retreat, just kidding. But you might get a 30-day gig, right? And you're making $15,000 for that month or two. But you might not book another gig for another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. So it's a matter of, budgeting your money and always being on your hustle. Every time you're on a film set, make connections. Talk to everybody. Nobody is above you, nobody is below you. Always make those connections because you never know where your next job is going to come. So that's my big recommendation. And again, financially, know how to save that money because you never know when the dry spell comes.
All right. And last question, and this serves as an advice for your students. What advice would you give your younger self when you first entered the field?
My younger self, I wish I would have told him to start then. And I've got some kids in here now, even some other adults in here now who I try to motivate that as well. I started late. I wish I had started earlier. And I think you always say, I'll do it later, I'll do it when I'm ready. No, you're never ready. I'm not ready now. But you have to dive into it. It's like weddings, right? And marriage. There's I'm going to wait, we're not ready. No, you're ready. You either want to do it or you don't. It's not about being ready or not. So jump into it, dive into it, and know that if you're going to do it, give it your all. And if you give it your all, you're going to be proud of what comes out of it. So that's my advice to my younger self that I wish I had heard earlier. So you guys, start now. Write the next amazing project. Connect with people. Network. Amazing things will come. That's my advice, guys.
There we have it. Let's give it up to Mr. Greg Van Voorhis.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miss Sadiqa, and I am the teacher for the Workout Club at Millennium Art Academy, and this is our special guest,
Sky.
And today we're going to be talking about why working out is so great for Sky. So, what motivates you to stay active, and how do you stay consistent on tough days?
So what motivates me to stay active is knowing that any progress is progress. So I try to stay disciplined. On the tougher days, I try to just take it easier, maybe not go so heavy, but knowing that a little bit of physical activity can go a long way.
That's wonderful. What type of workout do you enjoy the most, and why is this what works for you? How does it help you stay consistent?
So I recently got into powerlifting. That's been a lot of fun for me. So the 3 main exercises that we do as powerlifters is squatting, benching, and deadlifting. So deadlifting is definitely my favorite. So yeah, I'll go with that one.
Nice. Deadlifting, does that give you the most results?
Yes, because deadlift is a full body exercise. It works on your back, your quads, hamstrings. So yeah.
Cool. And what is a fitness goal that you're currently working toward?
Yeah, so currently I'm working toward getting into a powerlifting competition.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we want to hit goals. Currently I'm at 200 pounds on the squats. And then I think I'm also at 200 on deadlift. I think maybe 85 on bench press. So my goal is to hit at least 100 more on each of those.
Wow, that's really impressive.
I know, it's crazy.
Last question, because we had a couple follow-ups. What advice would you give someone who is just starting their fitness journey?
Start small. Like I said earlier, any progress is progress. So it can be something as small as going for a walk. It can be as small as, instead of taking the elevator, take the steps up to your apartment. Things like that can just, get you started. And then once you get into the gym, I would do, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, 30 minutes, and then work your way up from there once you would get more comfortable. But yeah.
Thank you so much. Everybody clap it up for Sky. Woo!
Welcome. My name is Jonathan Morrow. I run the Dungeons and Dragons Club here at Millennium Art Academy, and I have with me my guest,
Christopher Hernandez.
Can you say your occupation?
Yes, I'm a train service supervisor for the MTA.
Welcome. So you get us from point A to point B, the most important man in America, ladies and gentlemen. I brought him in to talk about how communication is important in, the job scene and his role in the training operations. and how, because as in the Dungeons and Dragons Club, the most important thing that we do is communicate with one another. We talk to each other, we imagine, we describe things. So I just want to see how you use communication in your field and, explain it to the camera.
No
So
problem.
I'll be throwing some questions at you, and I can answer them to the best of your ability. First, can you describe what effective communication looks like during a typical shift as a train service supervisor?
Well, in the beginning of a shift, we have a face-to-face relief. You want to know what's going on the shift before you came in, any problems that are going on, if there's a problem actually going on right now that you have to respond to, because that sometimes happens. And and you want to check in with your superintendents and operations control center to let them know that you're at your location when you come into work.
What are the most important communication channels that you use, such as like radio or face-to-face or dispatch?
Well, like I said, it's face-to-face, majority interacting with the crews, train operators, and conductors, all face-to-face. And then there's radio communication that we use when the crews are on the train, and to get in contact with operations control center, which is overlooking every single train within the system, and they're pretty much controlling the routes and everything.
Tell me about a time you had to coordinate during a service disruption or an emergency. How did communication play a role in resolving it?
Well, as everyone knows, there's always an emergency on the train. There's always a sick passenger, mechanical issues that we end up having to go to. And we use radio communication as well as speaking to the crews and speaking to the customers, finding out all the information they need to do, speaking to NYPD, EMS, FDNY in case there's a sick customer, or in case there's what we call it now, person experiencing an emotional crisis. And that expedites all the different moves. So the faster the person could get off, the faster the train could get fixed, the faster the train could go back in service, customers can be happy, even though they're delayed for like 20 minutes.
Thanks. I know, you have to get them as fast as possible. Can you describe a moment when poor communication from someone else created a safety risk? How did you address or correct it?
I wasn't there, but I'm sure everyone has heard about the collision that happened at 96th Street on the 1, 2, and 3 line. That was a major failure of communication.
What happened in that situation?
Unfortunately, I can't go into major details about it, but what happened was the way the train was supposed to be moved, you have to have constant communication. Literally, if I don't hear from you within 2 seconds, I need to stop a train. The train has to stop moving, because the person wasn't seeing what was in front of them. They were operating from the middle of the train. So you can see how important communication is. Because of the failure, the person just kept on operating, and then a collision happened, unfortunately.
What communication skills do you think separate a good train service supervisor from an excellent one?
I believe that what separates an amazing train service supervisor from just a regular one is the amount of knowledge they have, technical knowledge, all the jargon that we use in the MTA, as well as not expecting people to interpret your words as you think you're interpreting. Because time after time after time, you could tell someone, I need you to go to 96th Street. There's millions of 96th Street. There's 96th Street on the 4. There's 96th Street on the 1. Where am I going? If you let someone else determine what they're going to do, it could screw up the entire plans. For example, we had a train conductor who needed to take what's called comfort. Basically, she needed to use the restroom. And operations control center said, okay, discharge the train, meet the train at Bowling Green. Now, she didn't hear that communication. All she's thinking is, I need to go to the bathroom. And she went to the bathroom. And when she came back, she went to Flatbush, because that's where the train was supposed to be. But the train was still waiting for her in Bowling Green Loop to go back to White Plains. So, as you can see, if you leave it up to someone's interpretation and not being extremely clear, asking them, do you understand, getting their feedback, everything could go wrong very quickly.
Yep. And a final question, if you could change or improve one communication system or practice, what would it be?
Honestly, even though we use it every day, the radio communication in the MTA is by far the worst. Sometimes you could hear all the way from Brooklyn to the Bronx, and then some days you could be at 33rd Street and not hear a peep, and they're calling you, train at 33rd Street, I need you to stop and stay, stop and stay, stop and stay. And the train just goes, and then now this passenger is stuck between stations for sometimes hours because there's an incident in front of them. So I wish, right now we're in the process of getting it better. We have new radios coming out, but it's probably the biggest downfall for MTA is the radio communication.
Well, I hope this interview gets to them. Thank you for your time. Thank you for stopping by. See you next time.
Hey guys, my name is Sky. I run the Performers Playground Club, and today we have Miss Karshi-Etta, our very own, here to talk with us about filmmaking and performance.
So nice to see you again.
Yes, great to be here with you. So my first question is, what inspired you to create films?
That is an interesting question. So when I was an undergrad in college, I had a double major, English and film. But it's interesting because sometimes you realize once you start doing something that it's a little bit different than what you originally thought it would be. Right. So in college, I kind of realized that I really love watching film and maybe watching film a little bit more than making film. But my husband is a creative. And so he is a writer and a director, an editor as well. And so we kind of became a team because he needed someone on the other side to do some like producing and to help with writing as well. And so we came together as a team. So he's the creative end, and I guess I'm more of the like organizational producing
Okay, nice.
end. Yeah.
So piggybacking off of that, what's your favorite aspect in producing?
Interesting. So this is going to sound really weird, but I do like, so one of the biggest parts of producing or in being a line producer is there are so many like legal aspects of making a film. So contracts, getting permission to use like logos, music. When we've made our first, so for documentaries, which is what we originally started with, and what he originally started with, that piece isn't so important with fair use and other things. But with a narrative, which we did do a horror movie together, with a narrative, it's super different. So there are all these like legal aspects because you're dealing now with actors, which is a little bit different than people in documentaries. And now there are like logos on clothing and things in the background and music, and a bus drives by with like a New York, like all these different things. So you have to get lots of permissions and like I said, contracts. And so in the beginning, that first time that we made a narrative film, I felt really lost. I didn't know where to begin. And I just started contacting like literally like so basic, like Googling like who was in charge of this and who was in charge of that, and at this major company, like who, like just trying different names and literally picking up the phone and just calling people. And then sometimes it was the wrong person, and then they would give me the contact number of another person and an email. And then in getting all of these like different permissions and contracts signed and like all these like legal documents, it felt like kind of good to be able to get all of that stuff together, right? And so I actually enjoyed I really like all the behind the camera stuff that helps bring a movie together. So a little bit different than the creative end, but I really enjoyed putting all of those like the binders together.
Right, yeah, nice. So that's kind of like stage management, but for film. I like that. So on the other side of that, now on the performer side, when you write or direct, what do you look for in a performer?
Interesting question. So I did do a little bit of casting with the film as well. And so I think for like starting or younger actors, or even just like any actor, I would imagine, you want to go to the audition prepared, right? So for me, that was the biggest thing. That's what I was looking for. Like people, again, it sounds like so basic, but like people who showed up on time, people who came prepared, they had lines memorized, or they had something of their own that they came memorized. They knew a little bit about what they were auditioning for, so they didn't just kind of like walk in like, hey, I'm here for an audition, but didn't know what the movie was about, or didn't have any idea about who the character was, because we put all of that information out there. So when people came in like prepared, knowing about maybe a little bit about myself, a little bit about my husband, like the stuff that we had worked on before, knowing what we were looking for in the film, what we were looking for in a character, all of those things really, for me, mattered. I mean, of course, someone has to then have the talent to act, right? So you want someone who like naturally fits in. And so we auditioned everyone with another character that they would be, if they got the role, that they would be working with. And so we were looking also for like a natural flow between the two different people. So skill, of course, is ultimately what we're looking for, but all of those other like soft skills, like that you would need for any job, is the other piece.
Makes a
that was
difference.
important to me. Yeah.
Okay, so our students can take notes for that, for sure. So what techniques do you use to build suspense?
Oh, interesting. So I guess you don't want to give everything away in the beginning, right? So the big piece about suspense is where are they going with this? What's happening? What's behind that curtain right now? What was that sound, right? So like you don't want to, for me, it's like, and maybe sometimes you're not always getting, like maybe sometimes there isn't anything behind the curtain, and that's great too. So for me, it's like a slow burn. I like the slow building of suspense. You give away all these little pieces. Maybe it adds up to something, but maybe it doesn't.
That goes for auditions too. You want to make sure you're leaving them a little questionable. Like, what else do they have to bring? I like that. So lastly, what advice would you give to students who want to perform or create projects of their own?
So looking at things from the producer lens, which is really different from like the creative lens, I would say just organization. Before you go into a project, you want to make sure that you have all of those pieces put together, especially when you're working with film, right? Because you have people there and you want to value their time, and things are really expensive, so you want to make sure that you're valuing not only everyone's time but their money. Like you want to be on the set prepared. So for me, it's all of the pre-preparation, and that would be the advice I would offer to somebody interested in film. Maybe not necessarily on the, I guess for an actor it's different. I guess come in prepared, knowing your lines and knowing what your character is about. Do the background research. Because the worst thing would be if you have somebody on the set and they kind of don't know what they're doing, and by don't know what they're doing, I mean they don't have the background knowledge. They don't know the character. That's going to hurt everybody
Waste
involved.
time.
Yeah.
So I think that's all for today. Thank you, Ms. Carcietta, for your time.
It was so good seeing you.
Everyone give Carcietta a round of applause. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Mercy.
And what does your write-in routine look like?
My writing routine is a mix of several things. I feel like my mind is clearest in the morning, so I would wake up in the morning to do a little bit of meditation and to write. And other times when something hits me, I try to jot it down. I'll use my phone. I'll put it on my phone and I'll write it down. If I don't get it at that moment, it disappears. So, and I go back to it at a time when I could.
Nice. How long have you been a creative writer?
I've been a writer for almost as long as I've been able to write, honestly. It was escapism for me. So I was always writing something, or when I wasn't writing something, I was drawing something. And professionally though, I will say for about 15 years now, professionally.
Beautiful. And how do you handle writer's block?
I exercise and I read.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. And what helps you stay motivated to finish
My
a piece?
children.
Aww. And how do you make believable characters?
I use myself, and I also use people I know to create characters.
And how do you get ideas? Like, do you ever get ideas from your dreams or music or everyday conversations?
It's everything. I think that's the thing about being a writer. You have to be open to all the information that comes in, which makes me naturally empathetic because I feel everything, I see everything, and everything is material for me from everywhere.
What type of message do you think your writing gives to the audience?
Be better now than you were yesterday.
I love that. And final question, what advice would you give a young creative writer?
Read, write. Read, write. In other words, read more so than you write.
I love that.
But write consistently.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this is Miss Tullis, a creative writer.
Hey.